Just imagine, just for a minute, what if the church got involved in the needs of the most vulnerable within our communities? What would it be like? People within the church, a community of faith, a community of loving people, if they had just taken a few moments to care for the needs of the most vulnerable, children that are in foster care, teenagers that are in foster care, even those that are at a residential campus, if the church just took a few minutes to provide a ministry of care, of listening, of loving those that are the most vulnerable in our communities, what would it be like? You know, I think about that every day. As I go from church to church and as I reach out to churches, I talk to pastors all the time, and I'm reminding them of the great responsibility and opportunity that they have to lead a congregation of loving people who care about their community. You know, it is, of course, a risk for those who would extend love, that perhaps love would not be extended back. But we're talking about children and youth who are damaged and at no fault of their own are being removed from homes because they need someone to care for them, to love them, to provide for their basic needs. And in that, they discover that Jesus is a loving, caring God for them. They find out that people do indeed love them. Well, of course, the church is the right kind of ministry for those kinds of needs. You know, there's over 400,000 children in the United States that are in foster care or ready for adoption. The church could have a profound impact in the life of the next generation of young people. The Bible talks about this very clearly in the book of James and other passages, that God loves to care for the children, that he loves to care for the needs of the most vulnerable within our communities. And what better than an opportunity? Well, of course, Francis Chan says, what if every church in the United States took an interest in one child? We could undoubtedly end that statistic of 400,000 plus children that seems to loom over us each and every day. Children that are in care by a loving community of faith. Think of the natural resources of our wonderful children that is in our youth that likely are not being cared for, and we are missing out. Well, the church is, of course, a very natural connection to that. Why? Because they're a mission fit to the ministry of care and love. The church has a tremendous opportunity to make a difference. In Acts chapter 2, we read about how the church went beyond just being a church or a people of faith, but they cared about the ones that were rejected of their society. They took them into their fellowships. Well, compassion runs deep in the church as well. Not only is it a mission fit, but it is a compassionate place. It's not just a religious community. It's a place where compassion lives. There are people in crisis each and every day, and the church has often stepped up. You think about right now in the coronavirus, where we are seeing the church live out its mission, not just getting together for church, but being the church, existing for the community. We have that opportunity to love the needs of the orphan. But the church is also a vital place of resources. Well, it doesn't take much. Just a bit of prayer. A little bit of resources, a little bit of time to care for those who are doing foster care because it's wearisome, but also to help others who are able to step up and be part of this ministry. Maybe that's you today. Maybe that's you or someone you know that could get involved in foster care, but they wonder if there's enough resources, if they have enough helpers that could help them. Well, the church has capacity, and certainly the capacity of prayer, but also to respond to the needs of those around us. We think of Matthew 25, where it clearly is making evident the importance of the ministry of orphans in the practice of the church. And here's a fourth idea, that we are preserving the future of a generation that will pass unless we do something about it. Unless we care for the needs of the vulnerable, these whom we love, these who we care about, This is our ministry. This is what we are called to do. To live out Matthew 19 and verse 14, where Jesus says to let the little children come unto me. Let them come near to me. Well, the church certainly can act in a daily prayer for the children. Prayer is powerful. It is a tool and it's a resource at our disposal for God's greater good, for God's kingdom work. And we can demonstrate care without a doubt, and we can devote ourselves to the concern of those needs of the vulnerable, the populations that clearly we need to reach out to. I could tell you much more than this, but my time's expired. But I want to encourage you to read the article. I've got several articles that I put up about foster care and the myths of foster care. That is, those things that we assume to be true that aren't. I want to encourage you to read that, and I'll post that in this video notes. But just take a moment to think about it. I love the quote. Edgar Allan Poe says, "Never to suffer would never to have been blessed." Can I tell you, just a little bit of suffering on our part can make a difference in the lives of another, that we can truly bless someone else by our sacrifice, as little as it may be. So take right now a few minutes to pray and to be thoughtful in the needs of the children and the youth that really need a loving home and someone to support them. Well, God bless you. Thanks for taking time with me.